Scott, I wanted to ask you about the reopening of Disney. I don't know if you saw there was a tweet that went out by Rich Greenfield yesterday talking about what was going to be required for the employees. He was talking about the fact that Disney's not going to be testing employees. They do have a very strict regimen. I will say I've looked through the deck in terms of what they plan to do. All the employees are going to be masked. Obviously, all the guests coming in are going to be masked. They're going to be taking temperatures at the door. There's a questionnaire people have to fill out and social distancing and the like. But I remember back in March and April and even May, you talked about big employers in large part doing this testing and doing it on a regular basis. Would you go to Disney World? Does that concern you? Is this the right approach, the wrong approach?
Well, look, I think the decisions that consumers are going to make is, will they go into parts of the country where there's epidemics underway that aren't controlled? And I think the answer to that is going to be no. So I think a lot of these businesses that thought they were going to reopen in these states where there's large epidemics underway are going to have to rethink that, especially businesses that aren't necessarily local businesses, but they're global businesses or national businesses making decisions across a big portfolio. I think local businesses are going to be harder pressed. You have one location of a restaurant in Florida. You want to keep it open. But I think Disney and others are going to have to rethink that, because who's going to show up? I think the bottom line is it's going to be hard to travel in and out of these states right now until they get these epidemics under control. And it's going to take some time to get these under control. I think that states like Florida, California, Texas are going to see cases grow much larger before they see these cases start to come down.
I think Becky's got a question.
You may not. Yeah, thanks, Andrew. You may not see Disney World or Disneyland closed down. You may not see a lot of travelers coming from out of state, but there are people who are in state who have season passes who would probably go to the parks in that event. If you were advising the governor of either of those states, would you tell them they should shut those parks down because of the concern about spreading things further? Or is this just a situation where you think people have to wear masks, do the best they can? What would you be advising the governors in these situations?
Well, I'd be telling the governors, and I've had conversations with a number of governors to try to preserve those things that are most important to keeping the economy going and keeping society functioning. So I prioritize the schools. I prioritize keeping businesses that make a significant contribution to the GDP of states. I'd prioritize small businesses. I think when you're talking about venues that are higher risk, indoor venues, congregate settings inside that are purely entertainment, that would be at the top of the list for closing, because those are the highest risk. Places where people go to congregate indoors for entertainment purposes are sources of spread. And you're seeing states close the bars. That's top of the list. But also things like casinos. And when you think about these amusement parks, sure, a lot of stuff is done outdoors, but there's also a lot of shared services in these amusement parks. And there are congregate settings indoors that they are operating in some of these parks, and so or intend to operate in some of these parks. So I think this is lower down on the list. I don't think this is a priority. Now, I understand they contribute a lot, particularly in Florida, to the GDP of Florida, and they're worried about the contribution there. But they're going to need to worry about getting these epidemics under control, because they're going to see that will be the biggest impact on their ability to maintain these businesses in those states if they can't get the epidemics under control. People will stop going out and stop integrating with the economy.